The Art of Living in Your Truth Audiobook. Introduction. Dear friends, welcome to the Art of Living in Your Truth. I am so happy and excited for you right now. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and there is a reason why you are here today. Something within you got curious. You saw this little book and might have thought, that's an interesting title, The Art of Living in Your Truth. Let me check it out. I am glad you listened to that intuitive voice because I have a lot to share with you. So sit back, relax, and open your beautiful heart. My hope and my intention for you is to start owning your truth. I strongly believe that living in your truth is one of the most beautiful gifts you can give to yourself and to this world. Your uniqueness, it's a gift to us all. When you are fully aligned in your truth, you also inspire others. By living in your truth, you remind others of their own beauty and of their own uniqueness. This way, we can all start reaching for some higher universal frequencies, which will not only heal our personal lives, but also our collective consciousness. This beautiful work can contribute to the awakening of our entire existence. We are that powerful. Unfortunately, many of us live in so much denial, scarcity, and fear that we are not good enough for who we are. We pretend, we seek approval and validation so we can feel loved and accepted by others. We became so good at teaching our children how to fit in, instead of telling them to be themselves. Is this really living in our truth? I can relate to almost all of the above, because I have been there. Let me tell you a little bit about my story to fill you in. Ever since I can remember, I have been on quite an interesting journey. As a child, I was a creative little soul. Writing music, short stories, poetry, and singing. These were just a few of my passions, and they truly shaped my world. I have been very quiet and introverted, but it did not matter. I created an inner world that worked for me, and in that world, I felt happy. But there was also another world, the real one. In that world, I struggled. From a young age, I was very aware of my intuition. Picking up on people's thoughts and emotions was very natural to me. I thought this was normal for everybody, until I learned otherwise. I soon found out that it is better to keep quiet about this, and I labeled myself as being weird. I was often misunderstood, and I sometimes felt alienated and became more and more introverted. A little downside for us introverts in general is that we have a tendency to overthink everything, sometimes even to the point of exhaustion. This was the case for me. I used to live in so much fear and worry what others thought of me. Picking up on their emotions at the same time was confusing me and making me resentful of myself. There was a phase of bullying in my life which made me extremely sensitive. I started believing the labels others gave me, and I often accepted these labels without questioning. In my teens and in my early 20s, while trying to fit into this reality and be more like everybody else, the feelings of being not good enough expanded. I began looking for happiness outside of myself and only feeling worthy enough when I gained some kind of credentials, good marks at school, or received any external approval. I wanted to be liked and accepted, not labeled as the weird one, always left in a corner. Once I felt validated, all was good, and I was kind of happy. The truth was, those so-called moments of happiness never lasted for too long. And inward, I was suffering. My life was filled with constant fear, worry, approval seeking, and being afraid of my truth. I thought my truth was not good enough for this world. I created a belief system that I needed to impress people so they would like me and accept me. And ego overtook my life. I started pretending I was somebody who I was not and began exhausting myself even more. When I met somebody new, for example, I felt I needed to mention all my achievements and credentials to them up front, plus some things which were not really true. And then we could talk. I did this so I could feel good about myself. The truth was, my insecurity was screaming out loud as I was falling to a darker and darker hole. I can see the craziness in that now. But looking back, I feel so much love and compassion for that girl. I knew that living this kind of lifestyle was crushing me inside out. It made me resentful of myself, which I was very good at hiding. But one day something happened which turned my life around. It wasn't a sudden shift or a miracle I was longing for, but it was the beginning of one of the most difficult periods of my life. It felt like I just flew into a dark, stormy cloud with no sight of a clear sky. Every day became painful to get through, filled with constant anxiety attacks, constant worry and fear. Numbing these emotions with an exceeds amount of alcohol wasn't doing me any favor either. Attracting the wrong people into my life, well, the people who were on a similar frequency to mine at the time, was lowering my self-esteem and was pushing me to the depths of darkness even more. I almost stopped hearing the voice of my soul, the intuition, which was so loud and clear in my childhood. This was going on for several years until my body, mind, and soul couldn't take it anymore. All this pretending, pleasing others, overanalyzing everything and everyone, feeling lifeless and numb, and not heading anywhere in life. This wasn't the kind of lifestyle I wanted to be living. To cut long story short, deep down, amongst all of this, I knew there was a reason behind it all. I felt within the whole level of my being that I had a higher purpose. I intuitively knew I came to the earth to do something great. This incredible knowing and my exhausted soul somehow held me together through these unpleasant times. Now I know all of it happened for a great reason, and I wouldn't want it to happen differently. I realized I needed to start looking after me, physically and spiritually. I began witnessing my inner dialogue, my emotions, and most of all, I started listening to my intuition. If you don't know what intuition is, it is that mysterious little voice which whispers to us all day long. It is the voice which directs us to notice signs and important messages around us. It is the voice which enables us to connect with the unknown and to pay attention to our feelings. To my understanding, intuition is the link between our physical self and our soul. The reason many of us don't hear it is because our minds are very busy and loud all the time. We live in a fast-moving world and often block or dismiss this magical voice. I will come back to intuition a little bit later in the third step of this book. Ever since I started listening to my intuition and began communicating with my soul, my life took a completely different direction. I no longer perceived myself as weird. Quite the opposite, actually. I realized we are not really separate from each other. I finally understood I don't have to idolize other people or try to seek any kind of external approval. I realized we are all in this together, and I am good enough just the way I am. Deep moments of stillness and meditation allowed me to see my life from a different perspective. I was suddenly very inspired, and the creativity I always had as a child awakened within me. It felt very refreshing and exciting at the same time. I started noticing many signs around me, and my entire life's journey began making more sense. I realized I had a responsibility to share my story with the world, and this way help and inspire others. I set up on a journey to make this my mission. I don't have a perfect life right now. Well, who does? Fears come up, things don't go according to my plans, but I choose not to hang around in the darkness for too long now. I do my best every single day to live my life to the fullest, and by living this way, inspire others. I understand that it can be difficult to be fully ourselves all the time. We live in the world where we are told how we should act, what is appropriate and what isn't. We might believe we are not good enough unless we follow the crowd and be more like the majority of this population. The latest trends put pressure on ourselves, and then we start comparing ourselves to other people. There is so much pain and darkness in that. But when I look at this matter from a higher perspective, I believe we were born at this time and space to face this challenge and bring our true selves up to the surface anyway. By living authentically, we can be a powerful example to others. Remember, you have nothing to prove to anybody. Of course, there is always place for an improvement, and this means always learning and always growing. But what I mean is this: let's be more ourselves without denying our true nature. There is so much beauty in your truth. It does take a lot of courage and bravery to be yourself. I've struggled and still struggle with that at certain occasions. But in the moments when I am fully aligned in my truth, I feel most content, I smile more, and my life flows smoothly and naturally. When I am aligned in my truth, I get beautiful creative ideas, and that's where some of my best work happens. I feel empowered by living in my truth. I came to this earth to be Jana, nobody else. There has never been anybody like me, and there is never going to be. And the same applies to you and to your unique story, my friend. The moment I start comparing myself to others, I speak from an ego rather than from my heart, I quickly realize how wrong this feels. When I detour into this fearful way of living, I know I need to go home. I need to go home to my truth. I forgive myself and I tune back to who I really am. One of my spiritual teachers once said to me, Jana, your true power lies in your vulnerability. Get more in touch with that beautiful part of yourself. I can actually see now how this side of me empowers me. Part of it is my introverted nature and my sensitivity, which I don't try to push away anymore. When I am aligned in my truth, I am able to hear the voice of my soul loudly and clearly. My soul is my greatest guide. It guides me through this life journey, and it shares with me everything I need to know. Choosing authentic living is one of the most liberating experiences one can have. It will truly empower you. So make a decision to accept your flaws a little more today. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. Who is? Forgive yourself for your past mistakes and leave them in the past, exactly where they belong. Keep only the lessons which were required to get you exactly where you are today. Know in your heart that it is never too late to make a choice to be true to yourself and others. And if you ever backtrack from this path, take a deep breath and begin again. I am choosing to live in my truth every single day. Some days are harder than others, I am not going to lie, but I am closer to being more me than ever before. The fake part of my persona I once created, it's surely fading away. I am not afraid of my truth anymore. I want to be fully myself and actually enjoy being me. I have nothing to prove to anybody. I truly love myself for who I am now. This journey I've decided to take in this human form is empowering me by every step I take. And I want the same for you too. Living in your truth benefits. Number 1, truth empowers you. Number 2, truth liberates you. Number 3, living in your truth is an act of unconditional love towards yourself. Number 4, truthful living makes you happier and more positive. Number 5, when you are truthful to yourself, you attract more people on a similar frequency. Number 6, truth allows you to feel more at peace with yourself and the world around you. Number 7, being truthful increases confidence. Number 8, truthful living can help you awaken your intuition. Number 9, by being truthful to yourself, you take full responsibility for your own life and your own choices. No blaming others anymore. Number 10, truthful living increases creativity. These are just a few benefits you can begin experiencing when you start owning your truth. So let's dive even deeper now. In the pages that follow, I will give you 3 steps that helped me to start the process of owning my truth. Choose to apply these steps into your daily life and start noticing the magic that living in your truth truly offers.